Hey, what's going on, Purple People podcast fans? Welcome to the show this week. We are on episode number 342, entitled I Walk the Kline, because finally we signed an offensive lineman. What say you, Adam Carlson, to that news today?
I'm here. I've been trying to get work done and get the cleanup going, but it's been kind of rough around the apartment lately.
Hopefully we can make Adam's spirits rise during this episode of the podcast.
If it looks like I'm crying, it's not that I'm crying. It's all the like bleach and Pine Sol and stuff, so don't mind that.
Well, thanks to you guys that are joining in live. Appreciate it. Adam's got the chat up, I believe.
I do.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks to whoever's in the chat. I don't have that up, but I have some baselines of what we're going to go off on the show. Like I mentioned in the title, I Walk the Kline. Josh Kline, a former guard for the Titans and the Patriots, has signed with the Vikings. I have lots of opinions. We won't dive into that just yet, but can't say that we haven't made a move in free agency to try to bolster up the offensive line, which is good news. I'd rather have them attempt something than to not do anything at all and just rely on the draft solely. So this is good news.
Yeah, we're going to talk. We'll make that our main topic for the night. Mm-hmm. But we have quite a bit else to talk about as well. This, I believe you've said the episode title and everything, so we can move on to talk about some of the other free agent moves the Vikings have made. And let's start things off with the Vikings bringing back running back / kick returner Ameer Abdullah, and wonder why this happened.
Yeah, I'm going to say for money. I think that's why. We just don't have a lot left to go out and get huge names.
I haven't seen the details of the contract. I haven't seen them posted anywhere yet. But I am going to wager a pretty good amount of money that this is a small contract with very little, if any, guaranteed money included. And I think that his roster spot is still in danger.
Oh, it's got to be. He didn't do much of anything for us last year, and he was added on late. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a veteran.
Caught one pass for 10 yards, didn't run the ball once.
Yeah, he didn't do much of anything. He's a veteran. If I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong because I could be on this, but he did fumble a lot, correct?
Previously, yeah, not with the Vikings. Not
with the Vikings, because obviously Adam said he didn't carry anything. Yeah, he had some fumbling issues, which is always a concern. But I don't know. It's just a veteran name. And like I mentioned, I don't think we have that much money to go out and get a big name. We had hinted last week that it looks like the 49ers are going to move on from Jerick McKinnon, but he's even got a nice guaranteed contract that I don't think we could afford. So we may have to go for the draft for this one and hope for the best, which is kind of scary to think about because you need a good complement to Dalvin Cook, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've talked about Mike Boone and how we like Mike Boone, but we're not sure he's quite ready.
Mm-hmm.
And I still don't believe that Abdullah is the answer in that spot. I think they're going to look to the draft. Don't be surprised to see a running back picked early, especially now that a lineman has been picked up. I'm going to miss Latavius Murray. I will. I'll admit that. I think that he did a really admirable job while in Minnesota and worked hard for yardage and was just really good to fans and everybody around. So it's tough to see a guy like that walk when you're not sure what's there behind him.
Yeah, you love those kind of guys for the Vikings. They're not going to like jump off the stat page, but overall, everyone has their hiccups from time to time. I think that he was first of all, he's a good person, very nice to people, like you mentioned. He jumped in and dove straight in the community and got with the culture there. Secondly, I mean, he was reliable. He wasn't injured very often. You kind of knew what you were going to get with Latavius. So to find that continuity is going to be the biggest challenge. But wish him nothing but the best over in New Orleans.
Yeah, so that's definitely a development there. I am waiting to see if they do want Abdullah to take on a little bit bigger of a role than just a return man. If they really do expect him to be able to move up to be a running back 2 or even a running back 3. But right now, I just don't have that confidence in him. I'd have Boone above him, and then I'd have him fighting a rookie. And to be honest, I have never liked the idea of using a roster spot on a specialist who can't contribute on anything else, unless they're an absolute special teams ace. And I don't think Abdullah is.
No, I don't either. I agree with you, man. I think he should be fighting for the running back number 3 spot, and I absolutely agree with you in the fact that his roster spot should not be absolutely guaranteed by any means. And this is going to make some people, much like myself, uneasy with Vikings fans wanting a nice 1-2 punch, because the biggest question mark, as we covered a lot last season on Dalvin Cook, is can he stay on the field the full season? He hasn't proven that yet. So, you're going to need somebody in that backup role who's going to be reliable. So that'll be interesting to see how that develops. Trust and keep your faith in us. We will keep you posted as soon as we find out some news here on the Purple Field Podcast. We will let you know.
Yeah, we're just as concerned and interested as you guys are as to how this is all going to shake out. I want to give a big skol out to Michael Cambry and Sean Reynolds in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to let us know what you think about some of these moves. We're going to break them each down, talk a little bit about each one of them, and see how things shake out. See if I can get Mr. Smith to disagree with me about something here.
Oh, well, I got the best news of the week, guys, and you can go on over to thevikings.com because our own Adam Carlson, live in the chat right now, wrote an article about Trevor Siemian saying deuces to the Vikings. I just found this out 3 minutes ago when I clicked on the Viking Age. He's going to the Jets, so goodbye and good riddance and good luck. Get the hell out of here. I'm super happy to see that.
The bad part is that the Vikings now have a big hole at backup quarterback. You can be as big of a fan of Kyle Sloter as you want to be, but to say that he's ready to be a backup quarterback in the NFL today might be a bit sudden. And also, with the salary cap the way it is, especially after their recent signings, the Vikings don't really have a lot of cap to go out and get a veteran to make things happen. So,
yeah, it's been a wild week around the NFL. I like to say, what's going on in the league so you have an idea. For Vikings fans that maybe don't pay as close attention to other teams in the league wide, hey, go out and get this guy. So a lot of weird stuff happened in the last week. Ryan Fitzpatrick signed with the Miami Dolphins because Ryan Tannehill moved along to Tennessee, which is huge question marks there. Do they not believe in Marcus Mariota, et cetera, et cetera? So any of these guys on the free agent market that you would want to go after? Teddy Bridgewater stayed with the New Orleans. Nick Foles is most sought after quarterback. He signed a 4-year deal with Jacksonville. I mean, there's really not anybody out there that's going to make your mouth salivate and be like, oh, man, we got to go get that guy. It's going to be one of those, shit, is he the only one available?
Well, I wrote an article over on the Viking Age about 5 budget-priced free agents that the Vikings could be interested in. And I included a backup quarterback in there. And I think they could even wait till after the draft to grab someone like RG3.
Yeah, that's true.
Who would be an interesting addition with Kirk Cousins, because those two guys have to be quite familiar with each other. And they're known for pushing each other.
Let's go with that. Let's say we do sign a guy like RG3. How funny would that be to come back around where the kid was lighting it up, 5-6 years ago, and you had the kid they drafted in the same year, like, oh, okay, maybe he'll be a backup in the league. Now, Kirk is a solid starter. We can all agree he's a solid starter, and he's making all this money. That's crazy how a couple of years can just change everything, and an injury can shape a career so harshly. That's pretty crazy.
It really is. Like RG3 didn't get much of a chance to prove himself last season, but his numbers when he's healthy and able to move around are pretty decent. So, the Vikings will need to find that backup quarterback. Like I said, a lot of fans are hoping it's Kyle Sloter, but we'll have to wait and see how that all pans out, too. There's still a lot of question marks surrounding this team, even though they don't have a lot of salary cap left. So maybe they're going to let Sloter fight off a rookie, and if they do, they're going to have to use an early draft pick on a quarterback. So you don't want him fighting a 6th, 7th round or undrafted free agent. You want an actual competition.
That's true. I'm looking at Adam's article. I'm not going to spoil it for you because I want you guys to go to the Viking Age and check it out. And it is titled 5 Budget-Friendly Free Agent Fits Still Available for the Vikings. I do have a question, though. If we had to keep it down to just who we had, do we really believe that Trevor Siemian is like worlds greater than Kyle Sloter? I know that he fit in as the 2 and he was a starter for a little bit for Denver, but I mean, what was the gap there, honestly?
The gap was the starting experience. The Vikings saw that he had that starting experience with the Denver Broncos and wanted to take that and use that as a placeholder while they could try to figure things out, maybe bring Sloter along. And I think Sloter came along enough to where he outplayed Siemian in the preseason and earned that backup spot, but didn't actually get it because they used a draft pick to trade for him. And he still had that experience. But I don't know. I hope they're ready because I'd feel okay with Kyle Sloter getting a start, but I am scared of what he would look like if he did have to start a game and how he would play in that situation with the pressure. We've seen a lot of really good Vikings quarterbacks have really great preseason games and then just fold when they get under the lights.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like everybody's opinion on that. It's from what we saw based on tape, you can go with that starting experience. And this is maybe where we might disagree for the first time. Yeah, he has that experience, but honestly, he didn't play well enough to keep that job there. And now I'm looking at the guy who they're trying to mold, who seems to be improving. And honestly, in my opinion, I think Trevor Siemian's taken a regression phase as of late. So comparing the two, I see one regressing and one progressing. I wish that Trevor Siemian nothing but the best with the Jets, but I'm excited. Now, when I say I'm excited about Kyle Sloter, I don't want him to take over Kirk Cousins' spot because that means the shit has literally hit the fan. So let's not think about it that way. But wouldn't be surprised based on our first story and this story if the Vikings actually took a running back and a quarterback in this draft. I would not be surprised at all.
No, not at all. One position they won't have to draft, though, is the kicker.
That's right. Dan the man.
Yep, Dan Bailey has returned to the Vikings for a 1-year, $1 million deal. That's significantly less than I thought the Vikings would have to pay to get him. I figured he'd be a $3.5 million kicker, especially at his age, likelihood of retiring maybe. He's an accurate kicker. A lot of teams looking for a kicker. I thought for sure that Bailey would be out of the price range and Minnesota would have to go hunting for a different kicker to compete with a rookie. And instead, no, Dan Bailey comes back on this 1-year, $1 million deal, and fans should be pretty happy about this.
I'm super excited, and it's for most of the things that you said, but on this, isn't it such a what have you done for me lately league? Because 2 years ago, I mean, good God, you never pictured Dan Bailey ever being out of a Cowboys uniform. Last year he comes in, he does a solid job. He had a couple hiccups here and there. We'll say maybe it's a little bit of the injury bug still lagging. Who knows? New place, new atmosphere, but number one, he came back on the cheap. Number two, he stayed with the same team. He must like it here, and I know the fans were relieved because most of the time when he got up there, we were like, all right, cool. We don't have to have these kicking woes that have been haunting the team for the last couple of years, give or take a couple of misses here or there. But I'm excited to have him back. I really am. And for the cheap, well, I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, that contract surprised me. I wasn't too shocked to see him come back because the Vikings seem to like him. He's got a track record of having success. There's familiarity already. Mm-hmm. And anyone that can get used to that holding style or be patient enough to work with the holder, that's got to stay something, right?
It speaks volumes if you ask me, but what do I know?
All right, so let's see what else we got here. Leaving the Vikings as free agents, the Vikings lost quite a few players. Nick Easton signed a pretty nice deal with the New Orleans Saints. And there was no way Minnesota was going to be able to match that deal. Not with their salary cap the way it was. He got about $6 million a year, which you can't blame him for cashing in, especially when he's coming off of an injury. Easton, as you know, he was one of my favorite players on the Vikings line. He's got that toughness and the smarts, and he's going to New Orleans where there are a lot of Vikings that are going to be hanging out in that locker room.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Tavius is there now. Teddy Bridgewater stayed there. Zach Line, the former running back. Now you got Nick Easton. They've got a good group of guys over there in New Orleans that they picked up from the Vikings scraps, if you want to call it that.
It's true, and I'm still a little surprised that he got the payday he did with those question marks surrounding his neck after not playing last year. But the Saints needed a center to start games, and they went out and they got the guy that they wanted to be the Saints starter at center. So congratulations to them. Congratulations on Easton getting a nice payday. I'll miss him here. I will.
Yeah, for sure. Best of luck, except when you're playing the Vikings. Nick Easton, we're glad to see that you're still employed and going to be taken care of monetarily. Another person we lost was a good friend of Kirk Cousins. Tom Compton went to the Jets. The Jets and I believe Indy, they had the most spending money out of all the teams in the NFL, the top two. So not surprised to see some of our guys going over there either because they have the money to throw at these guys.
I'm not going to miss Tom Compton as much as I'm going to miss Nick Easton. I'll be honest there. Tom Compton came over here and he just struggled in Minnesota really badly. He was put in situations where the offensive line was just a huge mess. And to be honest, I don't know if he really had the talent to be where he was doing what he was doing. I'm hoping that he can get things together a little bit better for the Jets and be able to contribute there and everything. But to be honest, I'm okay with him moving on from Minnesota.
So I think didn't we talk last week about the Anthony Barr back and forth? He's back with the team.
We did.
Here's a good one. If you guys are worried about the O-line help, Matt Khalil has been released by the Panthers, so we can go out there and pick him up again if you want to give that another shot. What do you guys think?
Well, they are saying they can slide Riley into left guard, so there you go.
Yeah, let's not go down that road again.
Now, here's one that I'm personally kind of sad about, but I know a lot of fans prefer the alternative much better, is I'm going to miss Anderson Dejo. I am. I love his hard-hitting style. I love his ability to put his body on the line in situations. I love his aggressiveness. He is going to do a really good job for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I hate that because the Vikings do play the Eagles this year, and that means he's going to be smashing up Diggs and Thielen, and I don't like that one bit.
Yeah, you'd like to give the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, that's my former team of so long, just a year ago. Maybe he'll take it easy on him. Probably not. That's what we remember. Like I said last week, we remember Anderson Dejo for his really hard hits. He's been strung up by the injury bug as of late the last couple of years. But, man, when that dude was going around, he was that old-school style safety. He was going to knock the wind out of you and lay you out. So, yeah, if you could not do that to Diggs and Thielen, that would be awesome.
I'll be honest, though, the free Dejo stuff, the make football violent again, I'm not sure any of that really helped him in staying with Minnesota.
Yeah, true.
Especially with all the concussions going around and stuff like that. Maybe he'll fit in a little bit better in that Eagles locker room with that, but I still really like the way he plays. I like the way that he was always one of the really coolest guys you'd talk to. I got to go to a couple autograph sessions with him, and it was really cool. Even I didn't know this when it happened, but Mr. Smith shared a photo from Vikings Instagram when I went and got a coffee and got to meet Anderson Dejo, got him to sign my football. And he said, dude, you're on the Vikings Snapchat. It was Snapchat, right?
Yeah.
I was like, no way. He shared me the picture. I was like, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it was your snazzy jacket that you have. That thing's pretty dope.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the conversation here, Dorian. Glad you could make it and get out of that traffic.
Let's go Vikings.
All right, I'm assuming he's getting all set up.
Really nice.
Maybe he'll be joining in the conversation here in a moment or two. Let's keep things going here. We had some weird transactions that just kept going. Let's see, what else do we got here? There's been no word yet on the transactions with Anthony Harris or Rashad Hill as far as their tenders. I don't expect anybody to really bite too much on those, especially Anthony Harris with a second-round tender. I think the Vikings will try to match whatever people put down on Rashad Hill. But now that the Vikings are so salary cap in trouble that all it would really take is a decent offer of a couple million. And I don't know if they could bring back Hill without restructuring or cutting another player.
Yeah, that's very true. Who would have thought about that, too? Who would have thought that we might have been fighting in a scenario? And this is just scenario-based dreamland we're in right here, but if that were to happen, we'd be fighting in our wits' end to keep Rashad Hill. I'm not crapping on the guy at all, but not the first guy I think of on the line where it's like, man, we got to go out there and fight to keep this dude. You know what I mean? It's a weird way we've come around. We built such a good roster, but now the money is just getting so thin.
And I think the Vikings do need to bring Rashad Hill back. If they're not willing to or able to draft a swing tackle, or if they, for some reason, are serious about moving Riley Reif inside, the idea of looking for a left tackle instead of a left guard is a bit confusing to me. Because I think left guard is a little bit easier replaced than a left tackle. And you don't really want a rookie left tackle moving in because that level of play from the college level to the NFL, we talk about how hard it is for cornerbacks to adjust to the NFL level. Think about these offensive linemen who are going from playing these average college pass rushers to going up against some of the elite guys, and it's just disgusting.
Yeah, that might be a little bit tougher than you think.
Scott Schwab wants us to know that he's here in the chat, but he's been really busy lately, but he still found a way to swing on in. So glad you could make it. He also wants to know, according to our losses and our signings, what are our biggest needs in the draft right now? What do you guys have aside from left guard or tackle?
I think we need a running back. I'd like to add depth where Sheldon Richardson was lost on the line. And I would never, ever be mad if the Vikings go and get a defensive back on any spectrum of that, corner or safety. And the last part, I wouldn't be mad if they got a decent receiver in like round 3. Wouldn't be mad about that at all.
I agree with.
What are you thinking, Dorian?
I agree with what Mr. Smith said, but I'll actually add tight end to that too.
Seems like things still ain't working too well for Dorian.
I can hear him.
I can't hear him at all.
Oh, so I'll be the translator here. He agreed with mostly what I said, but he said that he was going to go a little extra and say tight end.
See, I've been hearing that from other people, but I don't understand why people believe tight end is a huge need. Unless something happens where Kyle Rudolph gets cut, or I don't know. I don't see David Morgan going anywhere for being the blocking specialist. They just use a draft pick. I know a couple of these guys are in the last year of their contracts, but I just don't really understand how that can be called a major need when there are players on the roster who can handle that, and there are still some pretty big holes to fill as far as depth and even a starter maybe at defensive tackle, or I don't know, someone at safety if somehow they do get swindled out of Anthony Harris. I don't know. To me, tight end would be a luxury pick, but if one of the elite tight ends do fall to Minnesota, it has to be considered based on best player available, but I don't think it would be a priority.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I don't think it's a priority, but I wouldn't be surprised at this point to see anything. It's when we get more pass catchers, because Laquan Treadwell has not lived up to the hype, and there's been a lot of weird clouding around Rudy's name because he had such a low production last year, mainly because Diggs and Thielen were the only one catching the ball. But there's been a little bit of cloud around his name. Do we really think that we might be getting rid of Kyle Rudolph? Is that a thing?
I have no idea. I know that there are a lot of people talking about the Vikings needing a tight end. We have Vikings, NFL.com, other sites talking about the Vikings need to get a tight end. Why? What's the rush right now?
Yeah, I don't see it as like you said, a major necessity.
They need to get quite a few interior offensive linemen. Quite a few. They need depth and competition there. I would not be surprised to see 3 draft picks used on the offensive line.
I'm hoping it's 3, honestly. And we can vary it out between the first round, the third, the fifth, and sixth, whatever. But you got to figure out that we still have emphasis of need everywhere else, but obviously that's the most glaring. I hope it's 3 picks. I have a question for you too. Now I saw this the other day, and I'm not really sure where I saw it in. I think it might have been our chat or something. But do we have more picks coming to us for compensatory picks?
Nope, but we're capped out at the 8th. There's still only the 3 picks that the Vikings got in round 6 and 7.
Okay.
Which those will probably be used for ammunition to move around. I would love to see the Vikings be aggressive in this draft, go up and see what kind of players they can get when they have a player they want that is sliding.
Yeah, we haven't done that since Teddy Bridgewater came to the
No, we really haven't.
And that was something that Slick Rick was doing for a while there, double dipping in the first round and getting some good talent there.
Well, Rick Spielman has this philosophy of casting the wide net to try to find those players in the rough, that kind of slip through the cracks. And he has gone on record as saying that he aims for 10 draft picks in a draft class. So maybe he will move down to get a couple more picks. But I don't know. I would love to see Minnesota just really be aggressive and go after several players at positions of need instead of casting the wide net, focusing on what they really need and making this a serious year to make a push.
Yeah, I don't think that the Vikings have necessarily slacked off the last couple of years as far as the draft goes, but definitely doesn't feel as aggressive Feels like we played it safe, the last couple of drafts. So, which is a good idea too. I mean, there's an article on your guys' site too that says the 5 ways we could go in the draft, and it wasn't a player at all. It was trade up, trade down, be aggressive, blah blah. It's really generic answers, but you've just got to base it all on. The only thing I don't want to
have you been reading Wabi again?
I don't know who it was. I just read it while you were talking earlier. But I'm looking at Wabshall. Oh man,
Wabi's cool and everything, but he's not known for giving the boldest of opinions.
He's about as exciting as watching wallpaper, be plastered on the wall, watching paint dry, that kind of stuff. Love the guy. I'm jealous of his. Definitely jealous of.
He's got a good gig.
Yeah, God, I love his job. I love that he gets to do that, and he has such a passion for it, but he's very boring.
Dorian is joining us in the live chat because of our technical difficulties. He's interacting with folks in there. So if you're in the chat, feel free to interact. Scott Schwab says, I'm the opposite of you. I want to see an undrafted free agent shine and make it big like a hungry deal. I always want to see the undrafted free agents shine. I do. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that there isn't talent to be found in later rounds or in undrafted free agency, because that definitely has not been the case for Minnesota. They've gotten pretty lucky in that respect. That said, I think the Vikings have a better chance of finding really talented players earlier in the draft and focusing on them and being able to trade those around and maybe get some players that maybe they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. All right, so let's get some questions here. We've got a couple in the chat here. Sean Reynolds wants to know, will Waynes get traded? It would free up $9 million, but yikes, need corners too.
I don't think he's going to be traded.
I think that Minnesota would have had a chance to trade Trey Waynes before that $9 million became guaranteed. But now you would have to restructure him or get him a long-term extension as soon as he gets there. And even then, I think people are underestimating what Waynes is going to make on the free market. I think he is going to get around $9 million anyway. Maybe 8 or 9. So, yeah, I don't think the Vikings are going to let him walk because a team's going to be really, really wanting to get him, but they're going to need to give up like a third and a fifth and then pay the $9 million that's fully guaranteed. I don't know. I just don't see it happening.
I see that doing that for somebody like Rhodes, but not for Waynes. And I'm not knocking the guy at all. I mean, I think he's a great talent. I think he's a great number 2, but that's up there with number 1 money. You know what I mean? Number 1 value. I don't think that's going to happen.
No, and as a Vikings fan, I don't want to see him leave Minnesota. I think he's hugely underrated. I think he's amazing in run support. I think his coverage has gotten better over the years. I know that there are some players that have been emerging. Mackenzie Alexander looked really good last year. Holton Hill looked amazing. You got Mike Hughes coming back from injury. You've got players with potential who could fill in. And I understand why the Vikings would consider trading him. But I think we're at a spot now where if he does get traded, it won't be till after the draft. Yeah. And even then, I just don't see it happening.
So wait for the week after the draft when we can say and watch this is going to happen because we said it wouldn't.
It's true. Definitely true. Michael Cambria in the chat wants to know, did anyone sign Mike Remmers? Mike Remmers went to go visit with the Giants. He stayed there in a night. Apparently he had some really nice meals and meetings and then went home. And nothing has been said of it yet. Remmers, of course, played guard for the Vikings last year, and that experiment did not work out too well. Giants are hoping to plug him back in at right tackle, where he would be an upgrade on anyone they had last year, which is disappointing to say for the Giants, but he would. He'd be an immediate upgrade.
Maybe him and Matt Khalil can go play in the Alliance of American Football League.
Hey, you never know.
Just an option.
They just got Johnny, right?
Yeah. That guy on his 7th second chance.
Good old Johnny. Scott Schwab says Rick was fairly conservative last year. Shouldn't we have a few top picks in the first 3 to 4 rounds? Well, the Vikings do have picks in those early rounds, but sadly, no extra picks, which is where things get a little sad. I am really excited to see what the Vikings are going to do with their first and second rounders. I think that the signing of Shamar Stephen will allow the Vikings to be a little bit more flexible too at defensive tackle. I know he's not a big name, but he's got starting experience. He started in Minnesota before he went to Seattle, and he started in Seattle, and he's back. He's decent against the run. He's not a great pass rusher, though. Still, I mean, if you need to start him, he can.
Yeah, I think he's a good rotational guy. I think he's a great depth signing. I like that guy a lot. That's funny, man. We had the same. Didn't we have the same thing happen with Tom Johnson? They went to the Seahawks and then came back.
Yep, it's exactly what happened.
Hey, man, I like those guys. I'm glad they're here. And when somebody with the caliber and potential of Sheldon Richardson leaves, you got to fill up that hole pretty quick. So,
yeah, Steven and Kline, neither are going to blow off the page on you and be like, oh, man, we got to have both these. But they're both capable players who can fill starting spots and make things happen. As far as what the Vikings paid for Josh Kline, maybe $5.25 million a year is a bit much as far as I'm concerned, but we were saving until the end, so let's talk about him now. Josh Kline, of course, signed with the Minnesota Vikings. He spent time with New England, and last year, his stats are not the best. He's very up and down, and he seems to really struggle against some top competition. One of his worst games of the season came in Week 12 against Houston, which Houston's pass rush is the real deal. He had a pass block grade of 23 against them, which is one of the worst I've seen in a long time. Add in, a game against Washington, which the pass rush is okay, and it's about grades of around 45 all the way across the board as far as pass and run block. But then you've got those games where you think that he'd struggle, and he does amazingly. Week 17 against Indianapolis, just green grades across the board, averaging around 80.7, which is awesome. He got him against the Chargers in Week 7, 76.8. He can play really well. He's got these decent pass block grades, but then you look over at the run block grades and you think, boy, for a right guard who's supposed to be paving the way for these running backs, you'd like to see higher numbers as far as Pro Football Focus goes.
I'm not going to lie. I talked a little bit of crap on Facebook on the Vikings page because, we signed Dan Bailey. People are like, oh, that's not an offensive lineman. We go out and we sign.
Kicker had to be signed. They had to get a kicker.
Yeah, people were complaining about that. We re-signed Anthony Barr. Oh, he sucks. I don't know why. We should have let him walk. But if he walked, they'd be like, what are you doing? Who's going to fill his spot? We're that horrible fan base that's never satisfied. And that's what I wrote. I was like, here come the bitchers. We go out and we get somebody who's not absolutely awful, and he's not TJ Clemmings bad, and we get somebody to add depth where we need it most. And people are still complaining. You know what I mean? Like, understand what the situation is.
Well, when you look at the options in free agency on the offensive line, there really weren't a lot of great options out there as far as guards. There weren't. The main hope for Vikings fans was that Nick Easton would come back, and Easton wasn't great even before the neck injury. And the fact he missed an entire season and got paid what he did, it's pretty unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But now you've got this new guy coming in. You've got him plugging into the right guard spot. And yeah, he's not going to be super impressive. He's not the next Steve Hutchinson. He's going to come in and he's going to start games. He's going to be that blue collar guy. You're going to swear at him a couple of times. You're going to not notice him when he's playing well. But that's how it works with offensive linemen. It really is. But I don't know. Josh Kline, in what was left in free agency, the Vikings got to feel pretty good they got him.
And managed to make it to where, they could afford somebody. Being able to afford anybody at all, being the little amount of cap space we have left, is that speaks volumes anyways. Who was this guy that we let in our Hangouts chat? Who is this person?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. I just got a new computer, and so I had to install everything immediately. to get on here. So I think I got it figured out. It's cool.
What's up, everybody? This is Kyle West. We're glad to have him back.
Woo!
Starting this new job. Hope that's going well.
I can't hear him
good.
either.
Oh, yeah. Adam's having issues on his end, man. I can hear you. I can hear Adam. I had to restart my my computer, but I can hear you, Kyle. I'm sure that everyone,
Okay, cool.
let everyone in the chat let us know that you can hear Kyle. All right, okay?
They could hear Dorian when he was in there, so I am assuming it's just me and I can only hear Mr. Smith, so who knows?
So maybe you guys have talked about it. I just got home from work. Why is Trevor Siemian trending on Twitter?
All right, so Kyle's asking why Trevor Siemian is trending on Twitter. Because the Jets, man. We got rid of him.
Yeah, it's about time.
He said, yeah. Okay. The problem is, and Adam and I covered this at the very beginning of the show, like second thing we talked about is
Sure.
what do you do as far as what the hell do you do now at backup? Because Kyle Sloter's cool, and he's a good name. He's a good have, but is he really a backup? Yeah.
Give him a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much have to. And we talked about how I wouldn't be surprised with Latavius Murray leaving. I mean, I guess they could go get LeGarrette Blount. That was one of the names that was out there at running back. But, yeah, what are we going to do at running back outside of Dalvin Cook? Because we can't afford Jerick McKinnon as much as I would love to have him come back. Somebody's going to have to get cut. Somebody decent on the roster is going to have to get cut to sign some more people. So who are we rolling with at running back and quarterback as a backup? Wouldn't be surprised to see either one, if not both of those, in the draft at some point.
All right, I just accidentally muted Kyle West, so he may have to leave chat and come back in.
Oh,
No, I see. I know. I got it. I unclicked it.
Okay, somebody else muted him just now.
Hey, but Mr. Smith, I'm interested in LeGarrette Blount.
Is that good?
All right, can you guys hear him now?
We can hear you. I can hear Kyle. And, yes, Dorian, I would be okay with that. He's on the tail end of his prime, or even, I wouldn't say the tail end of his career, but he's not in his prime anymore. You know, he had some good moments with New England the last couple of years, and he went to Detroit last year. But just something would be better than Mike Boone and Amir Abdullah. We're keeping Amir Abdullah right now for some reason. Adam and I talked about it.
I'm not very sold with running back position right now for the Vikings. They're definitely going to have to go earlier in the draft than what I had thought they were going to. I really wanted to keep Latavius Murray. I was hoping that Murray would stick around for another season, but I think we're potentially looking at as early as like the second round happen to fill a running back for this team. Just looking at, like you said, I love Dalvin Cook, but Dalvin has to prove that he can stay on the field. And until he's healthy and playing a full season, you've got to have like that 1A and 1B running back committee for the Vikings right now. And I don't feel like we have that.
Yeah, not with Latavius Murray leaving. No, I don't feel that at all. And we're not in the Adrian Peterson era of the Vikings anymore. We don't have a Todd Gurley, a Lev Bell, a Zeke Elliott. We don't have those guys. You know, Dalvin Cook is absolutely a starting running back, but
we could probably trade for Barkley with the Giants. Just give him a basket.
Just do that. We'll straight
basket of fruit, gallon of eggs.
No, I got it perfect right here. We'll just straight up trade Barkley for Cousins. They need a quarterback, right?
No,
we can figure it out after that.
Yeah,
we do. It'll definitely be the Kyle Sloter
show. Oh man, I can't believe the Giants kept Eli around again. Dave Gettleman's an idiot, and they got rid of OBJ. But they're going to win football games. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're doing.
Maybe in the preseason, you will.
His ass will get fired. Watch.
Yeah, he didn't do so well in Carolina. I don't know why New York picked him up, but whatever. That's their worries and not ours. Yeah, guys, if you missed, I know Dorian got to see most of the stuff. Kyle, if you just got on, man, we covered a lot of ground.
Okay.
We talked about Sendejo to the Eagles. We're going to miss him. Hopefully he doesn't take out Diggs or Thielen when we play the Eagles.
Right.
That was talking about keeping Dan Bailey, because this was definitely a need. I was praying to God we weren't going to have to go in the draft again or go pick up some like recycled garbage can of kicker. So, and with that, if you guys didn't hear, it's like Adam, you said it's a $1 million 1 year deal.
1 year, $1 million.
Is it all guaranteed?
That I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, he signed a 1 year, $1 million deal, which is super cheap. For that, I'm way good with that. So that was pretty cool.
I literally never wanted.
Yeah, considering they were able to keep Matt Weil at a really cheap price, and that special teams core is coming back. We still are waiting on finding out about Marcus Sherrills. I think we're going to have to wait a little while to figure out what's happening with him. But hopefully they'll be able to bring back more of those special teams players now that Mike Prefer's gone and give the new special teams coach something to work with.
You betcha.
Kyle, your new computer is awesome, man. Everything's a lot more crisp and clear as far as the visuals go.
That's because screw Windows, you guys got to upgrade to a Mac because everything is so much better over here.
I'm happy for him. I'm going year number 6 with this laptop, and it's a Mac too. I like yours though, man. I have one of those at my own home. You know, it's packed away in storage right now, but can't go wrong with those desktop Macs.
Right. I'm even getting fancy. I got headphones that are wireless. Like I'm like hip all of a sudden. Like
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Fancy Man over there, fancy.
I cannot hear Dorian for some reason. I don't know.
Oh no!
I don't know.
I can hear him.
I can hear Adam and you, but I can't hear Dorian. So I don't know what's up.
We're having sound issues all across the board. I'm just glad that people are still watching it.
There are people here for this shit show.
Oh man. Yeah, this is definitely one of the more interesting shows we've done.
Yeah, but rounding back to the main topic, man. I said it before Kyle logged on or had to log back on for technical difficulties. I don't think that this fan base will ever be satisfied, even if we win a Super Bowl. Like I've said this before on the show we've done previously sometime way back when. It was like, even if we won the Super Bowl by like 40 points and it was a blowout, Vikings fans would be like, well, why didn't we win it by 50? You know?
Yeah, right.
They just find a reason to bitch about everything, and it really irritates me. But you got an experienced guard, like Adam said, that wasn't very deep in the market right now. I told Adam before you guys got on, I totally think the Vikings are going to spend at a minimum of 2 picks on the line, if not 3. But I guess that's where we could shift the focus for next week and maybe even to a social media question. If you want to make room to have a little more money on this roster, who's a guy that you would be willing to part ways with? And obviously this isn't anyone like Dalvin Cook or Everson Griffin or Kirk Cousins. Those guys aren't going anywhere. And
Amir Abdullah.
Yeah, there's one that is weird. I don't know why you would keep him around, but who's somebody that you would be willing to let go of?
Well, I mean, Marcus Sherrills.
Other than Amir Abdullah.
Yeah, Marcus Sherrills is the easy answer. I mean, he's been on his way out, I feel like, for a couple seasons now. He keeps finding a way to stick around. I don't know what you're paying for him, so I don't know if there's that much of a savings really. But he's one that I feel like you could move on with. You can fill roles with other players for getting rid of him. I don't know who else offhand.
Marcus Sherrills is the team mascot. He's not going anywhere.
He's the team mascot.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. We did that once before when we got rid of the guy who rode the motorcycle.
That's because he was a bitch and turned into a Packers fan.
Adam, you still can't hear Dorian, huh?
Nope, I can't hear him or Mr. West.
We're shitting all over Ragnar right now, so it's really rough. Oh man,
poor guy. We did have a social media question, but it was from the 11th.
Yeah, I think we went over that. I had it on the show because I checked. We did it last week, so we can get one up for next week for sure if we can muster up something.
Yeah, we need something a bit more up to date.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to hear what people's thoughts are in the chat for something that they want to cover and talk about. Maybe ask people that watch the show what's on your mind as far as the direction for a social media question. Because if I can get you to help me give content, I'm all about that.
That's what it's all about.
It's a cheap grab, but hey, sometimes we could use your help.
Most of the time. Please help us. Dear God, we don't know what we're doing.
We got the chat where someone wants to know what Dorian was eating.
Yeah. What were you eating? Dorian? Okay, he's set his phone down. All right, we're gonna.
Cliff Tang wants to know, how was that hot date that you were on last week, Mr. West, that forced you to miss the show?
Oh, you mean work? It was fine. It was work. It comes with a paycheck every 2 weeks, so I can't complain.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where this. I'm looking at. Oh, so it's in Nashville. That's crazy.
Draft, yeah.
Man, I'm actually going to be there 2 weeks before the draft starts. A little mini vacation for myself. I'll let you guys know how it is in country music capital of the world. So yeah, we're not that far away. Actually, it's the 20th.
We'll be like right at home.
What's that?
You'll be right at home with all that country music.
Oh man, if I could just, I know I'm going to go see some live music there, but if I could just have just one night just to bar hop and listen to stuff, I'll be in heaven.
Scott Schwab in the chat wants to know, did the team figure out a permanent offensive line coach? And yes, they did. They hired Rick Dennison, who I think is going to do quite a good job, especially when he pairs with Gary Kubiak. That combination, very familiar with each other. And bringing Clint Kubiak as well. That trio there, I think, brings stability and experience to a group that could really use some good guidance. And I'm actually expecting the offensive line to come together a lot quicker than a lot of people think with those guys at the helm.
I hope so. I hope so too, Adam.
Yeah, I'll third that. I'm really excited. This coaching additions are. I was kind of shocked, and we've said it many times. I won't beat that dead horse into the ground, but I'm very, very excited. And everything that happened last year with Tony Sperano was not expected and very sudden, and it's always ill-timed. Any death is always going to be ill-timed, but just seemed like to be the Vikings' luck. So if everybody can stick around, especially how the trend has been with Mike Zimmer being here, year playoffs, year playoffs. We had a year last year, so hopefully we'll make the playoffs again this year and figure it out.
Well, they got to get some stability. I think part of the problems, reflecting back on last year, was they Tony Sperano passed away before the season starts, so you got the problems with the offensive line coaches that you got to figure out. The coordinator that we brought in didn't work out, and so we fire him midway through the season. Just getting some stability in your coaching staff, I think is going to help the Vikings out a lot this coming season.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Kyle, for Adam, if you can't hear him, he's talking about coaching stability. A lot of the revolving door last year with people and stuff not working. So just having that consistency will be really good. I know Stefanski staying there too will be great because Mike Zimmer wants to run the ball, and we don't have to worry about the ball not being ran.
And now we don't have running backs.
Scott Schwab in the chat says, admit it, our offense stinks and needs some great coaching to get this thing solid and clicking. I don't think the offense stinks. I think there are some really great pieces on the offense. I just think they need some direction. And this veteran leadership that are familiar with all the different kinds of players they've worked with, I think they'll be able to come together and find something that works. Just like last year. I was excited to see the pairing of the offensive line coach and the offensive coordinator, see how things work out. But I think it was the youth and the commitment to the passing game that really kind of turned things off and didn't make things work the way they were supposed to. So I'm excited to see this coaching staff. We've also got Scott Schwab in the chat here that says, would any of you be opposed to the combine happening at US Bank Stadium? Isn't it always in Indy?
No, I would love for it to happen there, but I think I think Indy's the new home. It's been there for years now. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It'd
be cool though.
That'd be really cool if it could go, but I just don't think Indy's going to give it up. It's a good money grab for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that they finally let those ESPN draft analysts into the combine for the first year? Mel Kiper went to the combine for the first time ever.
That's so stupid.
Cliff Tang wants to know, do you think we could get Will Grier if he somehow fell to the third round? And I think absolutely. I don't think there's an offensive lineman who's off the board in this draft. I've taken a look at many of them, and I would not be surprised to see any of them come to Minnesota, to be honest. I know a lot of fans have preferences as to which players they want to see come to Minnesota, and that's cool. Maybe you want the guy who's a better pass defender than run blocker, or you want the guy that can play multiple positions on the offensive line. Each player in this draft at offensive line is bringing some really unique abilities to the table, and you got to find that combination that works with your team. As we've seen before, the Vikings really love players who can be plugged into multiple positions and succeed and be able to fill in when there are injuries. So that's one reason why I really think the Vikings are going to be targeting Dalton Reisner in the first round. Now, that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case. Maybe they like Lindstrom, or maybe they like that Oklahoma boy. It's just a situation where it's going to be the best player available on the board at a position of need, and that's the way it's going to shake out.
We were talking about Will Grier, the quarterback, correct?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I had to ask, man, because I thought it was the kid from West Virginia. So,
but that's a good analysis. That's a good take on the offensive line.
Well, I just ended up talking a long time about offensive line because that's where my head is. I was thinking, the offensive line coach and everything. Quarterback, yeah. I again, not off the board at all, especially since Minnesota lost Trevor Siemian, and they're really looking to have that backup quarterback, even though Trevor Siemian didn't take a snap last year, and Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's missed a game in 4 seasons.
Right. Yep. I'm looking at here. I'm on the Ringer right now. He was suspended. We're talking about Will Grier. He's a quarterback from West Virginia. Could he fall? And I believe the question was like to the 3rd round or something like that. Maybe suspended for part of 2015 while at Florida. Violated NCAA rules on PEDs, transferred to West Virginia, got married, had a baby, started for 2 years with Mountaineers, was 4th in yards per attempt, 5th in passing touchdowns last year. It says what he can do: throws with a good touch, good arm strength for short and intermediate distances, anticipates when receivers will be open. That's not bad. But the knock is he's guaranteed to be grilled about a PED suspension. So this could make him fall, like was mentioned in the chat. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, as long as the kid's cleaned up now, I wouldn't really see this being a problem. There's a lot of bullshit about Dalvin Cook coming into the NFL, and we haven't seen a thing of the off-field issues there. So
there was bullshit about Jared Allen.
No, remember there were also some questions too about Mike Hughes.
I don't remember this because I didn't think once about Mike Hughes coming to the Vikings at all up until like the week before the draft. I don't remember this, but I'm not saying it's not accurate. I never heard anything about Mike Hughes until about a week before, and I was like, we're going to take a corner? Who's this kid? Oh, he played for the undefeated team. That's right. Sorry, that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah, when I heard Will, my first thought was Jonah Williams because I've been thinking about offensive line so much, and there's no way Jonah Williams would fall to the 3rd. But yeah, he's amazingly talented, and he's going to be gone early.
Jonah Hill, on the other hand, could be available.
Jonah Hill would be available to play on the offensive line. If Jonah Hill were to play offensive line for the Vikings, I want super bad size Jonah Hill.
Yeah, we don't want this Wolf of Wall Street Jonah Hill.
Yeah, I don't want the 21 Jump Street version. I want the actual Jonah Hill, like the one I fell in love with from Superbad.
He's our Nick Easton replacement.
Scott Schwab says Josh Kline just signed. Yeah, he did. We talked about that. We thought that was pretty cool. Cliff Chang wants to know about TJ Hawkinson.
What position? I don't know.
What do you think of TJ Hawkinson?
TJ Hushmanzada. Not the person you're talking about.
Let me look up and see. Oh, it's the Iowa tight end.
Tight end. I haven't even looked at him.
I've seen him going maybe as high as the 1st round.
Yeah. Yep.
I've seen him linked to Detroit a lot.
Yeah, they got rid of Ebron a year ago, so that would make a lot of sense if he went to Detroit.
But yeah, tight end, not a need. Pass.
Ever since Greenway retired, we are lacking in Iowa Hawkeyes on this team. So definitely we need to sign some more. So yeah, I'm bring him on. Adam,
can you still not hear Kyle?
Not a word.
I don't think so.
Ever since Greenway retired, we're lacking of the Iowa Hawkeyes. So if we could get another one on the team, that'd be great. I'm all for that. I love Chad Greenway.
Yeah, if it could be another Greenway, cool.
That'd be sweet.
But not like tight end Chad Greenway. No thanks.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I forgot who we mentioned in the chat to ask that question. He's a great talent. I've seen this guy's name all over the mock draft boards, but there's no way the Vikings are taking it. I'm pretty positive that the Vikings aren't taking a quarterback or a tight end in the first round of this year's draft. I would almost put money on it. So,
Scott Schwab, this is a fun question. Wants to know if the Vikings do win the Super Bowl, what would be Rick Spielman's first roster move? And this is an easy one. He would take that team to Disneyland.
Yeah.
What would be his first roster move? And does that include coaches too?
Yep, that's what Scott Schwab said. He said, I go with extending Zim's contract. And yeah.
100. I see, Scott, I'm not even looking. That's exactly what I do. Hey, you're getting a 4-year extension. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
I'll worry about the players later. Hey, if you did what was the up till now the impossible, no, yeah, you're getting an extension. He'd be
My question for Cliff, though, regarding the tight end situation. Now, let's say the Vikings do draft Hawkinson. Okay, so now you've got Rudy, you've got Hawkinson, you've got Morgan, you've got, who's that guy they just drafted? Who's that guy?
I can't think of his name either. Damn it. We look so shitty right now.
But yeah, you've got these tight ends, and they're not going to cut a guy they just drafted, so they're not going to cut Kyle Rudolph because he's a receiver. Do they cut David Morgan?
I hope not.
Because they can't really run with 4 tight ends if they're going to go and keep a kick returner.
Oh, let me go on the depth chart here. This is bothering me. I look so bad right now. Vikings tight ends. God, man, I can't remember. He had a lot of tattoos too, if I believe right. Tyler Conklin.
Yep, the conch.
There you go.
Conky.
The conch.
But yeah, they're not going to cut ties with him. David Morgan will be gone next year, and they need that blocking tight end. They let the Belldozer go when he was good on special teams. I don't know. I don't understand the immediate need. I get the appeal. I just don't get the need. Not when you could be using a first or second round draft pick on, an offensive lineman or a backup quarterback or a stud running back. Scott Schwab says he'd skip the White House, though. I think he kind of got to go to the White House. Put politics aside and just go.
Gotta get those cheeseburgers.
Yeah, you got to get that Waffle House and KFC dinner that they're offering, man.
Mm-hmm.
I get standing up for your political beliefs and stuff, but I think there's some things you just got to put aside.
So here you go. I'll do this shout out here, and then I want to talk about something not Vikings related after this. But this is Bucky Brooks on NFL.com. He just made a mock draft yesterday. At number 18, he has the Vikings going with the D line with Ed Oliver from Houston, which we had talked about previously before. I would not be mad about this pick at all.
One of my friends on Xbox Live the other day, I was playing Apex with him, and I kind of let slip a little bit that he said if there was one non-offensive lineman who dropped to 18 and you'd take them over an offensive lineman, who would it be? And I said Ed Oliver.
That would be awesome. You know what this reminds me of? When we picked up Sharif Floyd, because this was right around the same position in the draft. That'd be really awesome. Yep, I'd take that all day and twice on Sunday. Interesting fact, as we were sitting here doing this happened about 20 minutes ago during the show. Pretty pumped for the Bucks. I think it was the Bucks. They have 2 female coaches on staff, first in history. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah, the Vikings only have 1, right?
Oh, I remember this. We talked about this.
On the training staff, right?
Back in the day. That counts for something. He was a big pussy.
Who was that?
Brad Childress.
Oh, Brad. He's talking about Brad Childress. Yeah, and that's the end of the Brad Childress coverage forever on this show.
Oh, yeah. That's all I got for this week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope, that's it. Just bear with us, guys. We're sorry for all the technical difficulties this week, people being in and out and audio being weird, whatever. We'll get it figured out, but thanks for tuning in. We'll keep you up to date. The draft is just about a month away, So there will be all kinds of hype leading up to that. I do have to plug NCK9. I keep showing you guys every week. If you could go on Instagram or Facebook, NCK9 LLC, just give it a like. Dog training business that I'm working in right now. It's really cool, and just want to build up their profile. Appreciate it.
Very cool, very cool. I dig it. It's good stuff. I follow him on Facebook.
Yeah. Kyle, you got anything cool?
No, I just hoped we can get some of the technical stuff figured out for next week.
Yeah.
Don't know what's causing that. That's weird. We'll have to troubleshoot when we get done recording. But thanks for sticking with us, everyone who's in the chat that I do not have pulled up right now. We love you guys.
Yeah, we'll get it sorted out, man. This is like a 1 or 2 time deal. We haven't had this issue a lot, so
I don't know what's causing it.
Well, the problem is that YouTube just updated their live service, and they're switching around a lot of stuff, and I think that this is one of the problems that is coming through with that right now. So hopefully this isn't a problem on our end, and it's something that'll be worked out
We need to
soon
get Adam.
within the updates that they're doing on YouTube Live. So
yeah,
fingers crossed.
Especially after last week when the internet just decided to stop working for about 3 hours and the whole world was in a panic.
Now, I do want to finish up by saying don't expect the Vikings to go out, sign other free agents, because they don't have the cash to do it. That said, there are still Vikings free agents out there that could sign elsewhere or might come back to the Vikings on a very tiny salary. George Iloka, Tom Johnson, Brett Jones, Cedric Lang, Josiah Price, Mike Remmers, Aldrick Robinson, and Marcus Sherrills are all still free agents out there looking for homes. So we probably will have news on some, if not most of them, next week.
I'm good with Iloka and Tom Johnson staying. Everybody else I'm all right with.
Hey, Smith.
See, and I was going to say, I just want to see Aldrick Robinson and Marcus Sherrills come back.
Oh, about Aldrick Robinson. He would be at the top of my list. Man, I liked him at wide receiver 3.
Yeah, that was a nice fit. Mm-hmm. But I do want to thank everyone who joined in the chat, and I do want to especially thank everyone who took the time to go on over to the Viking Age and check out some of my articles. I'm personally having an amazing month over there with so many of you checking out my mock drafts and my tracker for the free agency and my 15 greatest free agent signings piece, and just so many of my other great pieces that I had a lot of fun writing, and I'm glad you guys are having fun interacting with. So thank you for checking those out. Also, Undead Walking, season 9 of The Walking Dead going on. Things right now getting a little crazy between the survivors and the Whisperers. So if you get a chance, check that out. Then come on over, read a couple articles over on Undead Walking. On the other hand, I made it through this episode without breaking down in tears from Pine Sol and Bleach. So thank goodness. But everything's all right. So I do want to thank everyone for joining us here in the live chat, as well as thank everyone who interacts with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, I don't know, MySpace, whatever we do. I don't even know anymore. But thank you so much to everyone. Hopefully we can get everything panned out for next week. And I'm just glad everyone got to see everyone's face this week. So we were all 4 here at times. So we'll call it good.
Yeah, you got all 4 of us at some point. So there you go.
Exactly. Well, thanks again to everyone. Remember, stay classy, Minnesota.